All right, welcome back, everybody. We are back with another episode, and this week we're diving into the New Yorker December 2nd issue.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Lots to cover.
yeah, it's a real mixed bag this week. You've
Hmm.
got healthcare in Texas,
Yeah.
AI that's surprisingly bad at using its hands,
Right.
and even how the Golden Girls ties into how we think about getting older these days.
Interesting.
What jumped out at you first?
Well, it's got to be that Texas piece that really grabbed me.
Okay.
The Texas Exodus. It's about this doctor, John Ogburn, trying to set up an Obgyn residency program down in the Rio Grande Valley.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's a place that, by the way, really needs more maternal health care.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember reading that. Yeah.
So initially, it seems like he's succeeding. He's building this great team. They're all excited about serving this underserved area.
Right.
And then Senate Bill 8 hits.
Yeah, and that's where you really start to see the ripple effect, right? The sort of unintended consequences
The unintended consequences.
that laws can have.
That's right. That's right. SB 8 was about restricting abortion, but it ended up creating this atmosphere of fear among doctors
Yeah,
about providing any kind of pregnancy care.
absolutely. The article mentions one doctor saying the standard of care could now be considered a felony, which is, I mean,
It's chillin'.
chilling, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got Vanessa Garcia's story in there, losing her daughter due to pregnancy complications.
Right.
And there are hints that, this whole legal climate made getting the right care even harder.
Yeah, that's where it goes beyond just the political debate. It becomes about the human cost. Women in Texas, especially in areas like the Rio Grande Valley, they're facing this double whammy shortage of doctors to begin with.
Yeah.
And then those doctors are scared to fully do their jobs
Right.
because of the law.
Yeah, and that exodus of doctors, that's not just an anecdote. The Man at Health report cited in the article shows that applications to Obgyn residencies in Texas have just plummeted.
Wow.
So this problem is only going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah, it seems like it.
What's striking to me, though, is the sheer breadth of issues in this one issue of the magazine.
Yeah.
It really does have something for everyone. I mean, we're jumping from a really sensitive and important issue like healthcare in Texas to cutting-edge AI.
That's right.
Talks about a change of pace.
It really highlights the rapid advancements that are happening in the world today.
Yeah.
And speaking of advancements, getting a grip
Yes.
tackles a field where AI is surprisingly struggling: dexterity.
Right.
We have AI composing music, writing poetry, even coding.
Right.
But when it comes to physical tasks like, say, tying a shoelace,
Yeah.
it's a whole different ballgame.
It's funny, right? I mean,
like
we
it-
take these simple actions
Ah,
for granted, like, oh, I can tie my shoes.
right.
But they require a level of complexity
Yes, they do.
that AI is still trying to grasp, literally.
Literally, yeah.
Hmm.
The article points out this concept called the Moravec paradox.
Uh-huh.
Basically, things that are easy for humans are hard for computers,
Okay.
especially physical stuff. It's like our intuition and experience, the way a toddler just figures out how to use their hands.
Right.
We don't even realize how much computation is going on in our brains
Right.
to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how are they trying to teach robots this dexterity then?
Right.
The article talks about a couple of approaches.
Yeah, well, there's simulation, like a video game for robots.
Oh, okay.
NVIDIA is doing work with digital twins, where a robot practices in a virtual environment before trying it out in the real world.
Oh, interesting.
So think of it as on-the-job training, but for robots,
Gotcha.
without the risk of, breaking something expensive.
Right. I see.
And then there's imitation learning. This one's more about observing and replicating human actions.
So like showing a robot a YouTube tutorial on how to tie a shoelace.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
The article gives this example of OpenAI's Rubik's Cube solver,
Uh-huh.
which learned by watching humans.
Oh, wow.
But even with these approaches, there are hurdles.
Okay.
The robot might nail tying one type of shoelace, but change the shoe, change the material.
Yeah.
Suddenly, it's lost.
It can't adapt.
Can't adapt. It's that adaptability, the generalization of skills, that's really tricky.
It reminds me of when my niece was learning to put on her shoes.
Yeah,
She could do it with her Velcro sneakers,
right.
but you give her a pair with laces and it was game over.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
it highlights just how complex these seemingly simple actions really are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where does this all lead? If we're teaching robots to tie shoelaces, what's next?
Right.
The article does touch on some of the ethical implications, doesn't it?
It does. The big one is job displacement.
Right.
If robots are handling cooking, cleaning, construction,
Yeah.
what happens to the humans who did those jobs? And beyond that, what tasks do we want to keep human?
Yeah.
The article really makes you think about what kind of future we're building.
Yeah. It's a bit of a double-edged sword, right? I mean,
yes.
it's exciting to see these advancements, but also slightly unnerving to think about the potential consequences.
Right.
Speaking of complex issues, the next article we're tackling is a bit of a curveball. Deadline extension.
Interesting.
It's about how our perception of aging is changing, especially in the U.S.
Right.
We're living longer,
We are.
and the idea of what it means to be old is getting a makeover.
What I found fascinating is the article's use of pop culture to illustrate its points.
Right.
It uses the Golden Girls as a lens to examine how older women were portrayed,
Oh, interesting.
even back in the 80s.
Right. And the Golden Girls, I mean, they were groundbreaking for their time.
Yeah.
These weren't frail, passive old ladies.
Right.
They were vibrant, independent, funny,
Yeah.
flawed, even sexual. It really challenged the stereotype.
It did.
And the show was a massive hit.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes. It cleverly addressed the fear of losing independence, which is still a huge concern for many as they age. They even touched on it with that whole Shady Pines nursing home subplot.
Right.
Sophia, Dorothy's mother,
Yeah.
was terrified of ending up there.
Yeah.
And it represented everything that the Golden Girls
Right.
and many older adults, I think, fear.
Yes.
Loss of autonomy, control, and dignity.
Absolutely.
It's interesting how the article then contrasts this pop culture representation
Yeah.
with what was happening in the real world.
Yeah.
You had AARP focusing on senior benefits,
Right.
and then the more activist Grey Panthers
Right.
challenging ageism head on.
Right.
It shows this spectrum of how older adults were engaging with society.
It's a reflection of the evolving dynamics of aging. Seniors were becoming a more influential demographic, and they were starting to demand to be heard both in the marketplace and in politics.
It reminds me of the saying, if you don't have a seat at the table, you're probably on the menu.
Exactly.
And that trend has only continued.
Yes.
We're seeing this active senior demographic emerge, people working longer, traveling, dating,
Right.
pushing back against those traditional expectations.
It's almost like age is becoming less of a defining factor
Yeah.
in how people live their lives. It's becoming more fluid, less rigid.
But the article isn't all sunshine and roses about this redefinition of aging.
Right.
It raises some interesting questions about potential downsides. Like, are we in denial about aging? Are we losing sight of the value of experience and wisdom
Right.
in our quest to stay forever young?
It's something to think about, for sure.
Yeah.
It's great to be active and engaged as you age, but there's also something to be said for embracing the natural progression of life.
Yeah, I think that the Golden Girls did that beautifully. They didn't shy away from the realities of getting older, but they also showed that, it wasn't the end of the road,
That's right.
that life could still be full of joy and laughter and friendship.
Yes.
And speaking of friendship, shall we move on to the article about Tyler, the Creator, and Jasper Dolphin?
Let's.
I think this one will resonate with our younger viewers,
Yeah.
especially those interested in music and pop culture.
Absolutely.
What struck me about this piece was the way it captures the playful dynamic between Tyler and Jasper.
Yeah.
This almost brotherly bond they have.
It is. And that bond, it goes way back to their days hanging out at this skate park called The Dirty.
Right.
It's clear they've shared a lot of experiences, and that shared history, it
Yeah.
seems to fuel their creativity and their willingness to push boundaries.
Yeah. The article describes their visit to Tyler's carnival, which sounds like this explosion of creativity and well, weirdness.
Yes.
I love Jasper's commentary on some of the, shall we say, more provocative art pieces.
Oh, I know.
He's like the voice of reason,
He is.
but with a healthy dose of amusement.
Yes.
It's that classic straight man dynamic, right?
It is. You need that balance, someone to ground the absurdity.
Right.
It makes you wonder if that's part of their creative process.
Yeah.
This constant push and pull between the wild and the grounded.
It makes sense. You need that tension to create something truly unique and interesting.
Exactly.
And that's what they've done with their careers, both
Yeah.
individually and as collaborators. I mean, they've carved out their own space
They have.
in the world of music and fashion,
Yeah.
and they've done it on their own terms. It's inspiring, really.
It is.
It's a reminder that sometimes the best path
Yeah.
is the one you create for yourself, even if it's a little messy and unconventional.
Absolutely. It's interesting how this issue keeps like juxtaposing these stories about pushing boundaries
Yeah.
with stories about tradition and heritage. Like that piece on Ukrainian sparkling wine being smuggled out of Bakhmut.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about resilience
Oh, my gosh.
and defiance
yeah.
in the face of unimaginable circumstances.
It's incredible. Two women,
Yeah.
Natalie Lysenko and Gail Corrigan, driving around the East Coast with this precious cargo, promoting it, sharing its story. I mean, it's more than just wine.
It is.
At that point, right?
It is. It's a symbol
Yeah,
of hope, a refusal to let the spirit of Ukraine be crushed.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And Lysenko, I mean, she actually helped get that wine out of the country
Yeah.
while it was under bombardment. They even tried to present a 6-liter bottle to Zelensky
Wow.
on Victory Day.
Powerful.
It's a powerful image, right? A toast to freedom and a celebration of the indomitable spirit of the Ukrainian people.
A toast to freedom.
Imagine that toast.
Mhm.
The stories that bottle could tell. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always a reason to celebrate, to
Yeah.
find joy and hope.
Absolutely. Now, how about we shift gears
Okay.
to something a little different? We've talked about AI, human dexterity, and now carbon negative vodka.
Only in the New Yorker.
We're only in the New Yorker.
This startup, Air Company, they claim to have created vodka.
Yeah.
That actually removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Is this for real?
Right.
Or is this some elaborate marketing scheme?
It sounds wild.
It does.
But they're using this process that combines carbon dioxide with hydrogen
Okay.
to create ethanol. It's a fascinating application
Yeah.
of science and technology. They've even scored a contract with the Pentagon
Really?
to develop carbon-neutral fuel for military use.
Wow. So it's not just about
It's not just about fancy cocktails.
fancy cocktails then.
No.
This could have real-world implications.
Absolutely.
I mean, imagine if this works, using this tech for things like aviation fuel
Right.
or even powering our homes.
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing. It makes you wonder, what other seemingly impossible things
Yeah.
might be just around the corner.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get back to something a little closer to home. The New Yorker has this piece on Malcolm Washington,
Right.
Denzel's son,
Mhm.
who's directing a film adaptation of August Wilson's play, The Piano Lesson. Talk about legacy, right?
It is fascinating to see how Malcolm is not only following in his father's footsteps as a filmmaker,
Yeah.
but also championing the work of August Wilson. He's even got his brother, John David Washington, Samuel L. Jackson, starring in the film.
A real family
A
affair.
real family affair. The article mentions how Malcolm feels a strong connection
Yeah.
to the play's themes of family, inheritance, and the weight of history.
Right, which makes sense.
Which makes sense given his upbringing. It must have been interesting.
I was going to say, yeah.
Growing up with parents like Denzel and Pauletta Washington.
Yeah. They've definitely set the bar high.
Yeah.
But it's great to see Malcolm forging his own path,
Yes.
finding his own voice within the world of film.
Speaking of paths, remember that article?
Yeah.
We discussed earlier about the longevity revolution. It really made me think about how the Golden Girls played a role
Right.
in changing perceptions of aging.
It's amazing how a sitcom from the 80s can still be relevant today.
I know.
But those themes of female friendship, independence, and resilience,
Yes.
they're timeless, aren't they?
Absolutely. The show portrayed older women as vibrant and multidimensional,
Yeah.
defying the expectation that they should fade into the background.
Right, and they didn't shy away from difficult topics either,
Oh,
Aging, loss, loneliness. They tackled it all
yeah.
with humor and grace.
It's interesting how the article contrasts the show's lighthearted approach with the rise of senior politics at the time.
Yeah.
You had AARP focusing on benefits and the Grey Panthers pushing for social change.
Right.
It shows the different ways
Yeah.
older adults were finding their voice and advocating for their needs.
And that activism is still relevant today.
Yeah.
I mean, the baby boomer generation is entering their later years,
Yeah.
and they're a powerful demographic. They're not going to sit quietly on the sidelines.
They're redefining what it means to be old It's not about retirement in rocking chairs anymore.
Right.
It's about staying active, engaged,
Yeah.
and continuing to contribute to society.
But like the article points out,
Yeah.
there's a potential downside to this focus on eternal youth. Are we denying the realities of aging?
Mhm.
Are we losing sight of the wisdom and experience that comes with getting older?
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
We need to find a balance between embracing the vitality of aging
Yeah.
and accepting its natural progression.
I think the Golden Girls managed to strike that balance. They showed us that getting older can be challenging,
Yes.
but also hilarious,
Oh.
heartwarming,
Right.
and full of life.
It's a reminder that aging is a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
And it's a journey that can be filled with joy, laughter, and meaningful connections.
Speaking of journeys, this issue of The New Yorker takes us on quite a few.
Oh.
From the war-torn streets of Ukraine to the bustling streets of Naples in 1925.
Yeah, it's amazing how this magazine can transport you
Yeah.
to different worlds and different time periods, all within the span of a few pages.
And each story, each article, offers a unique perspective, a different lens
Yeah.
through which to view the world.
It's a reminder that there's always more to learn, more to explore, more to discover.
And that exploration, that curiosity, that's what keeps life interesting.
Yeah.
So it keeps us engaged, informed, and connected to the world around us.
Speaking of connections, remember that article about robots learning to use their hands? It made me think about the potential for this technology
Yeah.
to assist older adults with everyday tasks.
It's an intriguing idea, right?
Yeah.
Robots helping seniors with things like cooking, cleaning,
Mhm.
even personal care.
Yeah.
It could be a game changer for those struggling
good.
to maintain their independence.
Imagine a world
Yeah.
where robots could provide companionship, assistance with household chores,
Yeah,
and even medical care for older adults. It could revolutionize the way we age
absolutely.
and allow seniors to live fuller, more independent lives.
But like with any new technology, there are challenges to consider.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. The cost of development and deployment, for one.
Right.
And then there are the ethical considerations of relying on robots for caregiving.
Yeah, it's a complex issue,
It is.
but it's one that we need to start thinking about now
Absolutely.
as the population ages
Yeah.
and technology advances.
Right.
We need to find ways to integrate these advancements
Yeah.
in a way that benefits everyone.
It's about finding solutions
Yeah.
that are both practical and humane,
Right.
that enhance our lives without diminishing our humanity.
Well said. Now, let's shift our focus to a story that takes us deep into the heart of the American wilderness, Wildside in Lake Tahoe.
This one caught my eye as well.
Yeah.
It's about the increasing conflicts between humans and bear
Oh, wow.
in Lake Tahoe,
Okay.
and the efforts of this organization
Yeah.
called Bear League to advocate for coexistence.
Oh, interesting.
The article introduces us to Anne Bryant, the founder of Bear League,
Okay.
who sounds like quite a character. She's described as a force of nature,
Okay.
wearing fingerless leather gloves and gold-rimmed sunglasses, even indoors.
Oh, wow.
She's a passionate advocate for bears and a fierce critic
Okay.
of those who fail to take precautions to
Wow.
prevent conflicts.
It's a good point. It's a reminder that we are encroaching on their habitat, right?
We are.
Building our homes in their territory.
We are.
It's not surprising that encounters are on the rise.
The article highlights the importance of taking responsibility
Yeah.
for our actions and learning to coexist peacefully
Yeah.
with wildlife.
It's a message that resonates beyond just bears in Lake Tahoe.
It does.
We need to remember that we share this planet with other species, and our actions have consequences.
Now, let's travel across the globe to China
Yo.
for a story that explores the complexities of identity, connection, and the search for meaning
Yeah.
in the digital age.
This one was intriguing. It's a fictional piece
It is,
about Limo, a writer
right?
who becomes entangled in this online relationship
Yeah.
with a woman named Li Lu.
It's a story that delves into the blurred lines between reality
Yes.
and fantasy in the online world.
Limo becomes obsessed with finding Li Lu in the real world,
Yeah.
even traveling to Paris to search for her. It's this quest for connection, for something tangible
Right.
in a world that's increasingly virtual.
It's a mystery that unfolds gradually, keeping the reader guessing until the very end.
And the ambiguity of the ending is what stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
Is Li Lu real?
Mm-hmm.
Or is she a figment of Limo's imagination? It's a question that lingers long after you finish reading.
It's a reminder that the digital world can be both a source of connection
Yeah.
and a breeding ground for illusion.
Speaking of illusions, let's dive into the world of art and the
Yes.
complexities of the art market.
The article focuses on this book, Family Romance,
Okay.
which tells the story of Asher Wertheimer, a prominent art dealer
Right.
in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. It's a glimpse into a world of wealth, privilege,
Yeah.
and this insatiable desire for beautiful objects.
Wertheimer made his fortune by catering to the tastes
Yeah.
of the nouveau riche, who were eager to acquire old master paintings
Right.
and other treasures
Right.
to solidify their social standing.
It's a reminder that the art market is not just about aesthetics.
Right.
It's also about power, status,
Yeah.
and the construction of identity.
The article also explores the work of John Singer Sargent,
Yes.
the renowned portrait painter who captured the likenesses
Right.
of many of Wertheimer's clients. His paintings offer a fascinating window into the Gilded Age, this time of opulence and social change.
And yet, the article suggests that there's more to Sargent's work
Okay.
than meets the eye. It highlights the subtle tensions
Uh-huh.
and anxieties that lurk beneath the surface of his seemingly glamorous portraits.
It's a fascinating insight into the complexities
Yes.
of both the artist and the era he depicted.
Now, let's shift gears
Okay.
to a topic that's both timely and troubling.
Right.
The soaring cost of college education in the United States.
The article about the book, Burdened,
Yes,
sounds like a must-read for anyone concerned about the state of higher education.
it is. The book traces the history of education policy in the U.S.
Okay.
and examines how we arrived at a system where college is increasingly unaffordable
Right.
for many Americans.
It's a complex issue
It is.
with far-reaching consequences.
It is. Student loan debt has become a crushing burden
Yes.
for millions of people,
Right.
and it's impacting everything from career choices
Yeah.
to family planning.
The article highlights some of the key factors that have contributed to this crisis,
Yeah,
including the rising cost of tuition,
right.
the decline in state funding for public universities,
Right.
and the increasing reliance on student loans
Yes.
to finance education.
It's a systemic problem
It is.
that requires systemic solutions.
And the article suggests that we need to rethink our approach to higher education altogether.
Mm-hmm.
It argues that college should be a right, not a privilege,
Yes,
and that we need to invest in making it affordable and accessible for all.
it's a powerful message,
It is.
and one that I hope resonates with policymakers and
Yeah.
educators alike.
Now, let's take a trip back in time to 1925 Naples,
Okay.
this city that captivated the imaginations
Yeah.
of some of the 20th century's most influential thinkers.
The article about the book Naples 1925
Yeah.
sounds like a fascinating journey
It does?
into the intellectual and cultural landscape of
Yeah.
post-World War I Europe.
It is. The book focuses on this group of German intellectuals,
Yes.
including Theodor Adorno,
Right.
Walter Benjamin, and Ernst Bloch,
Yeah.
who spent time in Naples
Right.
during the summer of 1925.
It's interesting to think about
Yeah.
how this particular time and place
Yeah.
might have influenced their thinking.
The article suggests that Naples,
Yeah.
with its vibrant street life,
Right.
its chaotic energy, and its resistance to modernization,
Yeah.
had a profound impact on these thinkers, particularly Adorno and Benjamin.
It makes sense
Look
that
at-
they would have been drawn to a city
Yeah.
that was so different
Right.
from their own experiences in Germany.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The article described how they were fascinated by the porosity
Yes.
of Neapolitan life, the way that boundaries between public and private
Right.
work and leisure
Yeah.
seem to blur.
It's a concept that resonates with our own experiences
Yeah.
in the digital age,
Yep.
where the lines between our online and offline lives
Exactly, yeah.
are increasingly blurred.
And the article suggests that the insights these thinkers gleaned from their time in Naples
yeah,
continue to be relevant today
they do.
as we grapple with the challenges of modernity and the complexities of the human condition.
It's a reminder that the past can offer valuable lessons
Yeah,
for the present,
yeah.
and that even seemingly disparate topics can be
Uh-huh.
connected in surprising ways.
Speaking of connections, let's turn our attention to a new HBO show that's generating some buzz, The Franchise, a satire about the making of a superhero movie.
Oh, yes.
Oh, you've heard of this one?
I've heard about this one. It sounds like a hilarious send-up of Hollywood excess and the superhero genre.
It is. It is. The article describes the show as a sharp critique of the franchise machine, with its relentless focus on profits over creativity.
Right. It's a timely topic,
Yeah.
given the dominance of superhero movies at the box office
Right.
and the often formulaic
Yeah.
nature of these films.
The article highlights the show's clever writing
Mm-hmm.
and its ability to skewer the absurdity
Yes.
of Hollywood culture
Yeah.
while also offering glimpses of the genuine passion and talent
Right?
that drives some people in the industry.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
And it sounds like the franchise pulls it off
Yeah.
with wit and intelligence.
And speaking of wit and intelligence, let's move on to a Broadway musical that's both a visual spectacle
Oh, yes.
and a thought-provoking exploration of aging and ambition. Death Becomes Her.
Oh, I love this movie.
Empty.
It's so campy and over the top. I can't wait to see how they've
Interesting.
adapted it for the stage.
The article describes the musical as this dazzling spectacle with stunning costumes,
Oh.
elaborate sets, and powerhouse performances
Yeah.
from its two leading ladies, Megan Hilty and Jennifer Samard.
It sounds like they've stayed true to the film's outrageous spirit
Right.
while also adding their own unique twist.
They have. They have. The article highlights the musical's sharp humor
Mm-hmm.
and its ability to poke fun at the absurdities of our obsession with youth and beauty.
It's a theme that resonates deeply
Oh, it does.
in our culture, particularly for women who often face immense pressure
Yes.
to defy aging.
The article suggests that the musical offers this subversive take
Yeah.
on this pressure, embracing the absurdity of it all and ultimately celebrating female friendship and resilience.
It's a message that's both empowering
Yeah.
and entertaining.
Now let's shift gears to a theatrical experience
Okay.
that's both physically demanding
Right.
and surprisingly relatable. Burnout Paradise.
This sounds intriguing. The article describes it as an Australian experimental theater piece
Okay.
that uses treadmills to explore
Oh, wow.
the challenges of modern life.
The four actors in the show
Yeah.
attempt to perform various tasks while jogging on treadmills, highlighting the constant pressure to multitask
Right.
and achieve in our always-on culture.
It's a clever concept
That is.
that speaks to the feeling of being constantly on the go,
Right.
trying to keep up with the demands
Yeah.
of work, life, and everything in between.
The article describes the show as both funny
Mm-hmm.
and thought-provoking, offering this commentary on the stresses of modern life
Yeah.
while also celebrating the resilience of the human spirit.
It sounds like a unique and engaging theatrical experience.
It does. It does.
And speaking of unique experiences,
Yeah.
let's turn our attention to the world of cinema,
Okay.
where two highly anticipated films
Okay.
are hitting theaters this holiday season, Wicked and Gladiator 2.
Oh, I can't wait to see these.
Oh, me too.
Wicked is one of my all-time favorite musicals.
I know.
And I'm a sucker for a good sword and sandal epic. What does the article have to say about them?
The article offers kind of a mixed review of both films,
Okay.
acknowledging their visual spectacle and entertainment value,
Yeah.
while also critiquing their reliance on familiar tropes
Okay.
and their somewhat predictable storylines.
So it sounds like Wicked, which is being released in 2 parts,
Right, right.
is a visually stunning adaptation of the beloved musical, but it might not break any new ground
Right.
in terms of storytelling.
That's the gist of the review. The article praises the performances
Okay.
and the technical wizardry, but suggests that the film might be more satisfying
Yeah.
for fans of the musical than for those
Right.
seeking a truly innovative cinematic experience.
And what about Gladiator 2?
Yeah,
I mean, it's been over 2 decades
I know.
since the original film, which
Uh-huh.
was a massive hit.
The article describes Gladiator 2 as a visually impressive
Okay.
and action-packed sequel
Okay.
that attempts to recapture the spirit
Yeah.
of the original while also introducing new characters and
Okay.
storylines.
But it sounds like it might not live up
Right.
to the legacy of its predecessor.
The article suggests that the film, while entertaining, lacks the emotional depth
Okay.
and originality of the original Gladiator.
Well, I guess we'll have to see for ourselves.
They will.
I'm still planning to see both films. I'm a firm believer in the power of spectacle and escapism,
Yeah,
especially during the holiday season.
I agree. Sometimes we just need a good dose of cinematic entertainment
Right.
to transport us to another world.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, before we wrap up, let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier. The potential for robots to assist older adults with everyday tasks.
Ah, yes.
It's a topic that deserves
It does.
further exploration. I'm particularly intrigued by the idea
Mhm.
of robots helping seniors maintain their independence.
It's a compelling vision. Imagine a world
Yeah.
where robots could provide companionship, assistance with household chores, and even medical care for older adults.
It would revolutionize the way we age
Yeah.
and allow seniors to live fuller, more independent lives.
But of course,
Yeah.
there are challenges to consider.
Like the cost
Yes.
of developing and deploying such technology.
Right.
And the ethical considerations of
Mm.
relying on robots for caregiving.
Those are valid concerns. And we need to have thoughtful discussions about how to integrate
Yeah.
this technology into our society
Yeah,
in a way that benefits everyone.
absolutely. It's a topic that's ripe for exploration.
is.
And I'm eager to see how it unfolds
Yeah.
in the years to come.
And speaking of unfolding,
Yeah.
we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
From Ukrainian sparkling wine
Well, yeah.
to the future of aging.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. The New Yorker never disappoints in
Yeah.
its ability to offer
Yeah.
a diverse,
And thought-provoking
Yeah.
selection of articles.
It's a testament to the power of good writing and the importance of engaging
Yes.
with a wide range of ideas.
Absolutely.
And as we wrap up this exploration into the latest issue,
Yeah.
I'm left with a sense of both wonder and a desire to learn more.
That's the beauty of exploration. It sparks our curiosity
does.
and leads us down new paths of discovery.
And on that note, I'm going to encourage our listeners to pick up a copy
Yes.
of The New Yorker for
There's
themselves.
always something new to discover within its pages.
And who knows, maybe you'll spark an idea
Yeah.
for your next YouTube video.
That's a great idea.
After all, the world is full of fascinating stories,
It is...
just waiting to be told.
Going through this issue, it really strikes me how the New Yorker manages to tap into that, like, zeitgeist, you
Yeah.
know, those ideas that are kind of bubbling under the surface for all of us.
Yeah, for sure. And this week, it feels like technology's impact is a real recurring theme.
It does. We've got those robots struggling with dexterity, AI changing creative fields, even that carbon-negative vodka.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder where the line is anymore between reality and science fiction.
And it's not just about the tech itself, it's the questions that it raises. Like, if AI can write a screenplay or create art, what does that even mean for human creativity?
Yeah.
Is there something inherently special about what humans do, or can it all be, like, reduced to algorithms?
It's a good question. It feels like those are the kind of questions that keep me up at night, honestly.
Me too.
We're talking about potentially redefining what it means to be human, to create, to
Right.
work, even to form relationships,
Mm.
like in that story about Lamo.
It's like we're at the edge of this huge societal shift.
Yeah.
And The New Yorker, by giving us all these different stories, it's like holding up this mirror, makes us look at it from all sides.
And engage with it too, right? We
Yeah.
can't just sit back and watch these changes happen. We need to be part of shaping the future.
Absolutely. It's about making choices. How do we integrate these new things? Which ones do we say yes to? Which ones do we question? And how do we make sure it's tech-serving humans, not the other way around?
Finding that balance, that's the key.
Huh.
We can be excited about AI, about robots, but also remember what's important about being: human connection, empathy, creativity.
The New Yorker is so good at showing both sides, those contrasting views. Like that piece on the cost of college, burdened,
Yeah.
highlights a huge problem, but doesn't pretend to have all the answers.
Right. It's about starting the conversation.
Yeah.
Getting people thinking critically, seeing different sides, and then finding our way forward.
That's what good journalism does, right? Informs, inspires, challenges us to go deeper.
And sometimes it just entertains us.
Sure.
Like those movie reviews. Wicked, Gladiator 2.
Mm.
Might not be masterpieces, but they give us a break, you know? Chance to just escape into another world for a bit.
There's value in that, too. We all need those moments, right? Some levity, pure fun to balance everything else.
It's about finding that equilibrium, engaging with the complexities of life, but also taking a break. Well, I think we've done a pretty good job of unpacking this week's New Yorker.
I think so, too. We covered a lot.
We really did. From deeply personal stories to global issues. Hopefully our listeners learned something new, saw things differently, or just had a good time hanging out with us.
If you're looking for more to think about, definitely grab a copy of The New Yorker. It's packed with great writing and perspectives.
And hey, maybe you'll spark your next big video idea.
That's a thought.
The world is full of stories waiting to be told. Thanks for joining us for another episode, and we'll catch you next time.